To stand here today, to know that that's where the disaster started. That's where my connection with my kids was lost. It's where I stopped being a mom.
One year, in the course of a lifetime, can go by pretty fast. Each month for a year, we sat down with drug court participants to hear the highs and lows of what it takes to go through drug court. In 1 year, we discovered joy.
So congratulations on your graduation today.
Hard work.
I've been busting my butt for the last 7 months. I know that I screw up, but this is the best I've done in 10 years.
Setbacks and successes as we witness people changing their lives in 3 Ohio drug courts.
Everything changes when you get clean.
That's me, Anne, and I'm a video producer. For 1 year, my fellow producers and I set out to follow these 3 county drug court programs. Medina County was our first stop. Medina is located south of Cleveland and west of Akron.
People move out here for a particular way of life. I'm Judge Joyce V. Kimbler, judge of the Medina County Court of Common Pleas General Division in Medina County, Ohio. I think the fact that Medina looks idyllic kind of camouflages the fact that you're going to have the same problems in a community like Medina as you're going to have in any other community.
Medina was one of 3 counties we visited where we met with participants in all different stages of drug court and sobriety. Some participants had been sober for over a year, while others just a few days.
I was born addicted to crack cocaine. I'm from Morrow County, Ohio. I got out of prison in CBCF and came to Medina County to live with my grandmother to kind of change where I was at, my people, places, and things, to kind of find myself.
I was with some people doing some things that I thought I'd never do. You know, we were stealing from stores, stealing from anywhere and everywhere, lying, cheating, stealing, like, you know, everything, the whole lifestyle that came along with the drugs is what I did. I'd never been arrested ever in my life. I'd never seen handcuffs until I was 28 years old. You know, I couldn't seem to stay out of them. I'm 33, that's 5 years. It's taken me 5 years to get to the point where I'm at today. I knew that I needed to do this because I was afraid to live and I was afraid to die. So I was stuck in this place. It's a very, very dark place.
Tell me what's gone well in your life since I saw you last.
You know, part of recovery for me is learning how to balance life. You know, I've been able to meet some of my responsibilities as an adult. Now that I've been working, I'm able to pay my bills. Not only pay them, but pay them on time.
My name is Stephanie, and I do peer support for Medina County Drug Court. I have been clean for 8.5 years, and one day I spoke up at the square in Medina, and the people from drug court were there, and they were like, "You gotta come talk to drug court." And I was like, okay, I didn't really know a drug court even existed. I didn't really know what that was. But I started to learn that this was a place for addicts to be able to, you know, get help within the system and to treat them in a way that acknowledged their disease, that acknowledged the issues that they face, and help them to get into recovery, not just get out of the system.
Our next stop was Marion County, which is a rural community with 60,000 residents located near the center of the state.
People can't make it through this without help. It's bigger than all of us.
When I started seeing heroin, I thought,
oh my gosh, these people are not going to make it. And I started trying to get people into counseling and things like that. And so that's when things started growing. Probation department started growing because we had so many more numbers coming in. So it kind of evolved like that. What's your drug of choice?
Heroin.
Is it? How does alcohol come in and play in all this?
What do you mean?
Okay, so the concern is that we don't want you to turn to a different substance.
I know it's everywhere, but Marion is just overran with drugs. I started with opiates, pills, but for like the past 6 years. I'm a chronic relapser. I've been in and out of jail and rehabs and detoxes for the past 3 years.
What's your drug of choice?
Heroin.
So, but you have used alcohol in the past.
Yeah, I would say heroin was my last, but everything would be it.
We're calling you a multi-user.
I have 2 boys, they're 11 and 14, and I'm 34, and I live at home with my mom and dad. My dad is sick. I help my mom take care of him.
Next, we headed to Hocking County, which is located at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains.
So what's the change? Because I know originally you didn't really think you had a problem. You think you have a problem now?
Yeah, definitely.
What's changed? What's made you feel that way?
I mean, you just get to thinking about all the stuff you didn't have before. You know, there's lots changed for me now than, what it was 8 months ago.
Is it better now?
Yeah, definitely.
Life's getting better?
Yeah, get to see my son now, got a house, job.
That's a good thing. Good job. Hocking County is a small rural community, about 20,000 residents. Number one business here is tourism. So the Hocking Hill State Parks, Old Man's Cave, Rock House, that's how we really survive here. I mean, there's not a lot of industry left. It's a really nice community, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of good parts about it, but just like most rural communities in Ohio, they've been ravaged by the opiates. What is going on?
I don't know, I lost my cool for a minute, I guess. I just got overwhelmed with everything.
Here's the question for you is, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in the program?
I think I need to.
If you can keep them in the program for the first 6 months, typically we're successful because that's the point where you see the changes. That's where they're getting clean. As their brain clears up and they start thinking better, then you get the heavier doses of treatment and get them doing the right things and trying to modify their behaviors and get them to understand what their triggers are.
Prior to going into this year, I had very little interaction with the recovery community, and I wasn't sure if anyone would be willing to participate in this documentary or if they would make it through. That first month, 19 people in our 3 counties gave of their time and had the courage to share their stories in order to help people.
I only know of 2 ways to tie my shoes, and if you tried to tell me to tie it the other way, I'd probably mess it up quite a few times before maybe I figured out how to just regularly do it the other way without thinking. It's something I do automatically. And for some of these people, their behaviors are automatic, and it takes time to make those changes. So I think it's difficult. They've been so used to living their life one way, seeking a drug, depending on it, and now we're asking them to do everything differently.
All rise. She did report that she relapsed on quote-unquote everything. She missed with Tim on the 24th. It was also reported that the last time she was here, she did lie about the job.
I can't breathe right now, and I'm upset, and I'm trying to keep it together. So, but I'd rather face my consequences than run off like I used to, because it's gonna catch up sooner or later and can't move forward if I'm running away, so.
Well, we're gonna take you into custody.
For drug use, dishonesty, and missing appointments, Monta was given a 3-day jail sanction.
When I went back out there, it was like it felt way different. just to have people that actually care and people that I can actually talk to, instead of people where we just use each other and you have to watch your back on every little thing that you're doing.
Relapses are to be expected. When you get around particular people, particular circumstances, then there's a tendency to relapse, especially while you're just in the beginning of treatment, where you're learning skills and you're learning tools on how to handle different people and circumstances when you encounter them.
I don't know if it's just like where I'm at in my recovery or like the combination of everything, but it seems like once I hit like the 120 days, stuff started getting rough. Like I'm really emotional and I've just been struggling with that, like not really struggling with like relapse or thinking about relapsing, just with being emotional, like dealing with everything. They say you hit the pause like 30 days, 60 days, and 120 days, so I kind of tried to get myself ready for it, but it's been rough. This drug court is getting to me. It's just a lot. It's a lot to do.
Drug courts work because participants are held to a very high standard and the level of accountability is there. They appear before a judge once a week in the early phases. They go to treatment multiple times a week. They are drug screened multiple times a week.
It is not easy at all. And a lot of times you will hear clients, and on the tough days, they will say to me, I would rather be in jail any day of the week. And that's how I know that we're doing our jobs well, because again, that to them, that is kind of an easy way back into the cycle of what they're doing. This is making them do life differently, and it gets really uncomfortable sometimes. But if it doesn't get uncomfortable, then there's going to be no behavior change.
At this point, we had a chance to get to know the drug court team and really witness the work that they had put into this program. The drug court team consists of judges, probation officers, counselors, prosecutors, defense attorneys, law enforcement, court staff, and peer support. Each week, the team is busy with assessments in jail, individual meetings with participants, drug testing, home visits, group meetings, and court sessions. Participants are helped with housing, education, employment, reunification with children, transportation, and doctor's appointments. One thing you have to understand is that this is 100% voluntary both for participants and court staff.
I started at a young age. I started with alcohol first and marijuana. We lived in a huge neighborhood and we were always out running around, riding our bikes. It was normal for everybody to skip school. We had this field behind our house where they were building a new development, and there was like a bridge that we all went and hid under that nobody knew about, nobody checked. And we would steal alcohol from our parents and we would take it back there and we would drink. I got pregnant at 17 years old. I quit school, but I quit everything else too. I didn't really experiment with anything. It wasn't long, I was like 22 and I had my second daughter. At that point I still wasn't doing anything. I wasn't working or anything. I was staying at home with the girls, just doing the mom thing. At 23 years old, my fiance at the time was having an affair with my best friend. That kind of slapped me in the face. It sent me on a spiral. Growing up in the household with my parents, there was a lot of drug use, and when I would see my parents fight, it was just normal for them to turn to drugs and alcohol and to be high and drunk. So that was how I was raised, that we coped with life. I got pregnant with my third child. I started working in the clubs, and that atmosphere, that's just men, drugs, and alcohol. That's all that is, and that's what my lifestyle became. I lived that life until 26, 27 years old. I cleaned up for a while, just was like, whoa, this is too much. I met somebody else, and we settled down. I fell in love, and it was enough where my life was content, I thought. It was a little distraught, but hey, I have my kids, you know, we're happy. We lived with his mom, but we were still happy. Like it was weird, but I was happy. I went in for surgery on my teeth and got put back on the pain pills. And I was like, oh, I forgot how great these were. So I started back into the pain pills. I started back into the drinking. And then I would never forget, it was Easter Sunday. I was doing pills really heavy, and I had to make Easter dinner, and I couldn't function because I was sick. My dealer was out, so she was like, I have something else that you'll like, and it'll do the thing, and it's cheaper. You get more for your money. And that's when I met heroin. And from there, it was just heroin every day. Every single day, all day. I lived for it, I slaved for it. I did everything it wanted me to. And it was my best friend. It was the love of my life. I put it before everything.
Hearing Chastity's story gave me an insight of some of the struggles participants were facing.
How we doing, Lori?
Okay.
What's going on?
Well, I lost my sister last Friday to an overdose.
Well, there's no good words I can say to you. There's nothing to say. There's nothing I can do to change it. But this is going to sound, I don't want to sound bad, but you've taken the steps to change your life. So what you can't let this do is bring you down.
Right.
And you have to stay focused on yourself. You
Right.
can grieve, you can cry, you can do all those things, but don't backslide on us at this point. Okay? You need to, the loss of a family member is something that, I don't have any great words. It's never going to heal. There's always going to be a little wound there, but you got a lot of people around here who can support you. You got counseling, you got mental health agencies, you got the whole 9 yards. So take advantage of them.
It's truly defining moments in your life is when life sucks and you continue to do the next right thing. When life has been terrible to me, where I would say it's not been fair, it's not been just, right? Those are the moments that have defined me, and I've just held on. I've just not done drugs or alcohol. There's nothing else I could do in those moments except for not use.
I think one misconception we talk about people in drug court is that they think once they get clean, life's easy. And I think the other thing they have to be told through the program, and I'm pretty good at it, is that life isn't easy. I don't care whether you're clean, sober, rich, poor, whatever it is. No matter how you view that life outside of your addiction, nothing's easy.
I don't think that recovering addicts have a better life, but I do believe we get a different view. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I love continuing to kind of climb that mountain to see those different perspectives.
What I'm hearing is that you're accomplishing your goals and you're feeling the joy of success.
I'm proud of myself. Who would have thought that I ever would have been able to do this? Monday before work, I bought my daughter her clarinet for band this year. I've always provided for my kids, but when it comes to large things like that, I'm real good at running to daddy. I haven't ran to my dad in 2 months. I've been fully self-supporting for 2 months.
I'm so used to letting myself down and disappointing myself. At first, it was like, so when's the next time that I'm going to disappoint myself, you know? It was huge for me to be able to tell them that I'm going to do something and follow through. And sometimes I just couldn't do it. And now I'm seeing myself do it more and more. And our relationship's getting stronger and stronger because they're starting to feel that they can trust me again and they can rely on me.
Let's hear Monta's report.
Monta's really stepped it up since her last sanction. It's been a while.
I've seen a turnaround, Monta. That's good. That's really great. Do you feel different, or does something change?
Definitely, yes. And past few days, I've been doing community service at the other court thing. But yeah, my relationships seem better, and I just feel happier and
Great. I'm proud of you.
make it count.
Good job. Who's next?
Timmy Dickinson, you're up.
Timmy. Good morning, Timmy.
How was your last month?
A lot's happened since you guys visited me last time. I left state and went to West Virginia and missed drug court, got a warrant, got back on house arrest. But things are going okay. I came back and checked in and told them I was dirty, I relapsed on crack, I was dirty for weed and alcohol.
You're back on track, that's what we're looking for, and I want to tell you that I appreciate your honesty, because you have been honest. Even though you did take off a few weeks ago, you came back, you self-reported, and that's good. That's better than what happened you months ago. So that's good. I look at that as progress.
If a person comes to probation and is honest with the staff about the relapse, we can work with them. If a person continues to hide that from their treatment staff, from their probation officer, we see more often than not that the problem gets worse.
At first, all these people feel like enemies because I've been doing the wrong thing and being bad for so long. I'm used to running from these people and hiding, and now we have open communication. Like, if I have a problem and I feel like something's gonna happen, I tell them and they help me. They send me to whoever I need to talk to about it, or take time out of their own day, even the judge, to just sit and have a conversation and try to figure out what they can do to help. Whatever they can do, they will. Addiction either ends in recovery or death, and recovery is harder than dying. You have to fight harder than you ever fought to get high, and I think by the time people get to the point where they're ready to get into recovery, we're so weak and beat down from being in addiction for so long that it's hard to find the strength to do it. It seems like a dream almost. My mom is an addict and an alcoholic, and I grew up taking care of her and my brothers, and my whole life goal was to grow up and be a mom and have kids and do everything different, and just got wrapped up in it. And before I realized how bad it really was, it was too late, and I had already gotten myself too deep. I was doing pills with my mom. Like, she was getting them off my grandma, and I was eating them, and they were making me sick. So my mom one day was like, oh, you should try to do it this way. And she crushed it up, and we snorted it. And I always liked to be high. I do remember that from the very beginning. I liked the way that it made me feel. But I didn't need to get high at all. So then I moved away, and I came back, and I met my daughter's dad. He was already strung out on 30s, and I didn't know that he was like dependent on them. I didn't even know you could get dependent on pills like that. I just knew that we did pills, and it was cool. It felt good. We had all this energy and got all this stuff done and had a good time. And then I woke up one morning and was throwing up, and my legs hurt, and I felt like shit, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And he's like, you need a pill. I'm like, what do you mean? Like some Pepto? You know, like, what are you talking about? No, you're pill sick. You need a pill. And that's when I learned that you get sick if you don't have these pills. And
when you realized that, did you like immediately try to stop, or were you like, oh no? Like, it just,
because we had pills already, so of course I'm gonna do this pill in front of me to make me feel better. And we just never stopped. It just got worse. One of our friends was like, I have dope. And
were you scared?
I was terrified. I cried. Like, I don't want to do it, but I was so sick. So finally we decided we were gonna do it. And everybody that we knew they were already shooting heroin. And I was like, never will I ever. But you know, you can smoke it, you can shoot it, you can snort it. They had it broke down in water and had it in a little cap, and they were like, just snort the water. I sat with this little cap in my hand for probably an hour and a half because I was so afraid to do it. And
Was he afraid to do it?
no. And I was sad. I knew it because I justified my pill use by the fact that everybody else that I knew was already using heroin and I wasn't. So I was at a better point in my life. And I knew once I went there, I wouldn't go back. I did it. And within weeks, I was shooting heroin.
And that was something you didn't think
I would ever do. Never. I mean, I already watched everybody around me go there, and I wasn't there yet, so I thought, I'm gonna get off these pills, and I'm not ever gonna need to do dope. And then I did dope, and I'm like, it's okay, I'm never gonna shoot it, I'll just snort it. And then I tried it, and I never wanted to do anything else any other way ever again. And I didn't.
In November, I asked participants if they've ever been in treatment before. So before drug court, have you ever been in recovery?
I've done like a 7-day detox. I've done Suboxone program. I've done the methadone clinic.
Tried to slow down a couple times on my own and never worked.
I tried going to private psychologists and doctors. We paid out of pocket for it. There was wait lists everywhere we went to try to get treatment, whether it be inpatient or outpatient. In fact, some of the places I called 2 years ago are just now calling me back.
You always try to substitute other things, like, oh, this isn't my drug of choice, so I'll be okay on this. A lot of people will use alcohol. I know I did. When I came off of heroin, I started drinking every day. And it didn't concern me because it wasn't my drug of choice. So I thought, I'm doing good. And I would give myself pats on the back, and that's so not true.
When I first started looking for help, we didn't have drug court. We didn't have the program at MAC. We only had foundations in town, and the wait was like crazy, and it was hard to find help.
One thing we kept hearing in every county was that you needed to change your people, places, and things.
The thing for me and most addicts, what happens is, all of us, I mean, we're attracted to our own kind, right? I mean, I always compare it like squirrels hang out with squirrels and chipmunks hang out with chipmunks. You don't really see them like, you know, in the yard playing together. And I think in the real world, we're the same way. And so when I was in active addiction, I was attracted people who are in active addiction because it made my behavior okay.
What's going on, Mark? Anything exciting?
No, getting ready for snow season, snow removal.
Snow removal? That's gotta be rough.
Yeah.
My friend was helping me move, and he came over, and he smokes weed, you know, all the time. So he came over, helped me move, and he had some with him, and it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. Didn't really think about it too much, and so we smoked and then drank a little bit.
The reality is it's a small community. They're going to be exposed to it. Their friends are going to be around. And that is a really hard thing to overcome, is to change your whole life and say, okay, I've got to quit. This friend's still using, I can't be with them anymore. And hopefully you give them the strength and the courage and a new environment, a new goal in life, a new lease on life, I guess is a way to say it, and give them a chance to move forward.
You definitely have to change everything. People, places, and things. I know it's cliche and it's corny, but it's the truth. It's hard when it's your mom, you know? It's like, I want to hang out with my mom and be close and have a relationship with her, but the only way we've ever had a relationship together is either drinking or using drugs together.
let's talk about that one little issue first. Holidays are not fun. They put all of us in very bad situations. We try to make them joyous occasions. Family get around, they start fighting and yelling and screaming, or somebody drinks that puts you in bad spots. You guys are more vulnerable than most people. You guys have to understand that. You guys are the ones who have the problem to deal with, and the family might not totally understand it. I know all the counselors are going out of their way to talk about those issues with people, so be aware to reach out for help before it gets bad.
I think that underlying a lot of the addiction is a lot of unresolved emotional issues, and those become heightened at the holiday season because everybody wants holidays to be perfect, and we all have an idea of the perfect holiday from the Hallmark Channel. And when your life doesn't match the Hallmark Channel, but you think everybody else's does, that can set you up for failure.
My childhood was was a decent childhood. I never really went without. I kind of had everything I needed, not necessarily wanted, but that I needed in life. You know, there was always food, a shelter. You know, there was no real abuse in the family. But there was a point in time where I started to get a little bit older, you know, maybe 8, 10, that area where I didn't feel good enough. You know, I kind of felt like I was an outcast, and that kind of carried on with me. You know, I had addictive behaviors before I even picked up a drink or a drug. You know, it was obsession, compulsion. I always wanted more, was never good enough. I always wanted more of anything, no matter what it was, whether it was food, toys, friends, anything. And that kind of just ran with me my whole life. Now being able to look back and think about some of this stuff, you know, what was my childhood like? You know, was I in a bad place? And really I wasn't. You know, I was pretty much cared for, loved, and accepted, but I had felt different. You know, I felt like I was somebody different. 2 weeks ago, I got laid off unexpectedly. And it was tough for me. That day I got laid off, you know, it was payday, and I instantly thought I failed. Here I go again, trying as hard, giving everything my all, and I still can't make it. I'm still not good enough. You know, my first thought was to go use. Honest, you know, it was. I had my paycheck, and I was gonna go to the bank, cash my paycheck, and go right to the dope man. And my next thought was, I gotta call somebody. And I called my sponsor, and I told him everything I wanted to do. You know, like, I'm not perfect. And being an alcoholic is hard. You know, I don't know how to live life without it. I still don't. I mean, I'm learning, I'm trying, but you know, I've had some thoughts lately. I've almost 18 months sober, and I still think about it.
Mr. Henry, what I want to thank you for is your authenticity. It is not easy to admit that you have human weaknesses and human failings. You know, it's easier to pretend like nothing is wrong, and that's what gets you into trouble. So I really want to thank you for being authentic and showing that when you do, you know, you can get through it. Hi, how are you today?
I'm okay.
Tell me what okay means to you.
I'm accepting some things.
What are you accepting?
I had a dilute urine.
A dilute test is an unacceptable sample of a urine drug screen.
In other words, it doesn't mean positive for drugs. It could mean other substances were added.
Why do you believe that you had a dilute test?
It was the week that I started my new job, and I was in training, and I was working really hard hours, a lot of hours. I was closing the store at 12 o'clock at night and opening the restaurant at 6 a.m., and I wasn't sleeping properly. I wasn't maintaining and taking care of myself. I was drinking way too much coffee and energy drinks. I wasn't eating properly. I was running myself ragged that week.
Well, Ms. McGraw, I don't know. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we have a dilute test. So at this time, you are remanded into the custody of the Medina County Sheriff's Department.
When the judge apprehended me today, it hurt. I was kind of in shock because I wasn't expecting it, because I have taken so many steps to try to just build people up around me so that I didn't fall down during this time, because I don't normally have using thoughts, and I usually don't have things that bring me down. I'm good at getting through my problems. I'm good at utilizing my support. I have tools in my toolbox. I'm good at getting them out and applying them.
Ms. McGraw, we've had an opportunity to review this matter. When you indicate that you're going to pay for independent drug testing, in this particular matter, I'm going to let you go for today. If you do not have them back by January 4th, I will send you back down to Judge Hall. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. She is released from custody at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
My mom almost had to take them back and give them to their dad and say that their mom's in jail again. That day will never come again.
Some participants struggled in December, but January marked a new year and new opportunities.
I'm still here.
Sounds like you're doing good too.
I am. I went and got my hair test done.
So that was great?
That was great. I got,
Anything about it?
well, because I've already been to drug court one other time, so, but I even paid for the extended opiate panel so that it went further in depth, and it was all negative. I got the alcohol hair follicle test, and it was all negative.
How are you today, Ms. McGraw?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. You're looking like you're feeling a little better.
I am.
Are you? Tell me how you're achieving your balance.
I'm doing my goal that you told me every day. I'm taking 30 minutes out for myself.
The day before New Year's Eve, I was standing at the grill at work cooking, and I was looking around, and I was like, you know, my New Year's resolution was to stay sober. I did it. Every single day last year, I was sober. That's huge. I've never met one of my New Year's resolutions. They last maybe a week. And I just broke into tears. It was just a moment. I got butterflies in my belly, and I called my daughter, and I told her, I was like, do you know I stayed sober every day this year? She's like, duh, Mom. Like, she wasn't as surprised about it as, maybe she was, but she was like, is that why you called me? But it was nice.
January marked 6 months of production. This is month 6. Can you reflect on the person we met 6 months ago and how much you've changed since then?
Oh man. I don't know, it's been a long 6 months. I think I've grown up a lot in the last 6 months. I stopped trying to point the finger at everybody else, and I try to take responsibility and what's the word that I'm looking for? Accountability. Accountability is a big thing for me, because you know it's easier to feel better about what you're doing when you're blaming it on somebody else. But I had to just suck it up and really tell myself, like, this is where I'm at, and it's because of the choices that I've made.
6 months ago, you know, I was probably still kind of in a rocky place. You know, I think I've had a couple sanctions there for drinking.
It's something that you deal with every day. Not like bad, it's just, it just doesn't go away. Like, if you think it does, that's usually when it rears back up. And that's what was happening like 6 months ago for me. I was like on the verge of relapse, and then I relapsed.
I'm more grateful, understanding. I'm not mean and hateful and poor me. And
6 months ago, I thought I had all the answers, and I thought that maybe, you know, it was time for me to just deal with my own problems. But being able now to look back just 6 months ago is like, wow, you know, I've learned so much. I've came so far. overcome so many difficulties and problems and situations that, you know, I feel a lot more comfortable with myself.
In those first 6 months, I saw people graduate, go on the run, relapse, get jobs, lose jobs, gain trust, and start to find their way.
You have just turned your life around, and I just encourage you to keep these supports and all this stuff in place when we're out of your life too, so that you can continue to grow.
You know, when I first started, I'm like, oh, I can do this. It's no big deal. I'll be done before I even know it. It's a long-term thing, and I'm not good with long-term. So you have to be ready and willing to change your whole life.
It's like accepting the way things are and accepting help, and when you accept it, it's a lot easier.
I look at it like this. I did everything I had to do to get my drugs. I went above and beyond to go get high. I don't care if I had to walk 10 miles in the freezing rain. If I wanted that dope, I was going to get it. I just take all of that energy and I put it into making it to my appointments.
I'm trying to make you uncomfortable. Just so you understand where I'm at, I'm trying to make you uncomfortable. Because if I can make you uncomfortable and make you do things you don't want to do, it'll take you outside your comfort zone. And by doing that, you'll start realizing you do things you don't think you can do. Like stay clean, like say no to people, like not give in to peer pressure. I hope everybody leaves this program realizes that they've accomplished something other people haven't, and they can be a leader in the community and help other people. Some people can do it, some people can't. But the truth is you're being given an opportunity to do that. So the question is whether you want to do it or you don't. That's the hard part for me, because I think you can do it, but you kind of let other people influence you.
We want to help you, and we want to get you linked with resources that can help you. And even if you don't want to ask for help, that sometimes in order to make things better, you need to do that.
When people start to get into sobriety and into recovery, they want a life just like everybody else's. Balance is one of the things that we are constantly going over with our drug court participants, because yes, we want you to have a job. Yes, we want you to have a normal life, but you've got to put your recovery first. Well, I know that one of the issues you've always dealt with is balance. How is that going for you?
I gave up one of my jobs. I had a really hard time with that. I had to sit down and make a decision and choose between my 2 jobs that I was working. And I feel like I made a confident decision about that. It might not have been what I wanted, but it's what was best for me.
I don't make any decisions for them. The decisions are all in themselves. They just don't know it yet. It's helping them be able to process, talk through, and be able to look at pros and cons. It's just helping them find their own way, helping them, honestly, it's almost cliche, but to live the lives they never imagined they could.
19.1% of Marion County residents are considered to be in poverty. I'm Heidi Jones. I'm the Executive Director of Marion Matters.
Marion Matters is a nonprofit organization that helps break the cycle of poverty through goal setting and education.
I do some presentations every now and then with Mark Court. They're wanting to let the folks sort of in Mark Court know what support systems are here for them. First thing they have to do is understand sort of where they are in the big picture. They do a self-assessment and find out where they are. And when they see some of those strengths, sometimes they're surprised, like I didn't realize that I was strong in this area. But you know, oftentimes we see tears because a lot of them say, I didn't realize how bad it was. But the cool part of getting that information on paper, and I think this is the part that I love the most, even through the tears that are shed, there's hope in this.
They've helped me learn that I can be more than what I thought I could be. Being with Marion Matters, you feel like you're a part of something too, with the community.
There is a drug problem here. You know, I'm not going to skirt the fact or try to cover that up, but there are a lot of great people looking to address those issues as well. I mean, you know, starting with the judge and the Mark Court and people realizing that it's not just one of those things where you can send them to jail. There are underlying issues to the drug problem. It's here, our community knows it, and we're working hard to address it. Do we have all the answers? Absolutely not.
Heidi taught us how important bringing the community together was in solving the drug problem. This past year, the Medina County Drug Court team and the community came together to open Robbie's Recovery Center.
As we got here today, the 50 or 60 people we were expected were kind of milling around, and then y'all just kept coming and filling the building. Wow. And the only thing that ran through my head was, if you build it, they will come.
The community is no longer focusing on the problem, it's focusing on the solution. Everybody has someone they know or love who is in recovery, but nobody wants to talk about it. This is an opportunity for us all to come together, acknowledge the problem, get behind the solution, and support one another.
In Hocking County, we witnessed Judge Moses out in the community, educating law enforcement and community leaders on drug court and addiction.
My name's Fred Moses. I'm the Hocking County Municipal Court Judge. It's an honor and privilege to be here. I think the people who really understand this probably better than I do is law enforcement and the EMTs and the firefighters. They see it every single day, and it's getting to be a crisis. Studies show if you can spend 3 minutes with each individual, their success rates go up by 87%. I think it's really important that people understand what's going on and really understand that people aren't bad people and there's nothing wrong with them just because they're addicted. It's just the way it goes. You need to help them get back on.
With community support behind her, we saw Monta graduate in March.
Mark Court gave me consequences, but it protected me from doing anything stupid that could have hurt myself or others. But they also helped me develop a plan and skills to prevent and deal with it. Mark Court also rewarded me when I did well, too. They made me more aware of when I was doing well and when I started slipping up. I found my true self, and I am free, and I am grateful to have been in Mark Court and Marion and all the opportunities provided.
How has this process prepared you for the future?
I have learned a lot of things, and just things to be able to handle my normal life, and just knowing who I am and handling those problems that I used to run from has lifted a weight off my chest.
Every single engagement with a participant is an opportunity for change.
It's really easy to judge somebody and say you don't deserve this second chance, but when it's you, you want the second chance.
What do second chances mean to you?
Everything. I mean, I can't say enough. The way I look at it is that I finally got my life back.
I really feel like if people give up on people fully and don't, if they stay closed-minded to second chances, you know, I know that we can be bad as addicts, but we're not terrible people when we're clean. It doesn't discriminate, so I think second chances are important.
I feel that I'm able to give back today and not just always be one that is take and take.
I believe I have a second chance. I believe this is my second chance. I should have died out there.
Everybody deserves a second chance, and because without it, then you'd just give up.
When I first started this, I felt like I would never be able to prove myself to anybody, and it would take forever for people to even look at me other than just a junkie. So having a second chance at being able to show people who I am made the difference between whether I stayed sober or not. And like for Mark Court was my second chance at life.
Second chances led to 5 out of the 7 participants we were talking to in Hocking County to graduate in April.
It's always a joyous day. We get to see people move on from the program. It serves a lot of purposes. We get a chance to bring in the families of the people who've been through the problems and see their children and family members succeed.
It's a big accomplishment. It is a big deal. There are people who never thought that they would be in that position. They never thought they would accomplish something like this.
People are moving on today. Now you got to give back. This is the first day of the rest of your lives. You have the ability to accomplish the goals you want to accomplish. You have the ability to do what you want to do. It's all up to you.
I don't think that I can say thank you enough to each of you for what you have helped me to achieve. I hope you can continue to change people's lives in the way that you have changed mine. To everyone just starting out in the program, stick with it. There isn't a better program or group of people to help you through this.
I still respect you as a judge, but I don't look at you like that anymore. I look at you as someone who recognized the problem and realized we needed to do something different besides throw us all in jail.
There is a time to punish, there is a time to lock them up, there are charges they need to be locked up for. But we need to show that kindness and compassion to get them back. If not, you're giving up on people. Our country's built on second chances.
I've really been on track the last year, so I feel like I'm headed towards the right direction.
How do you move past all of this?
Forgiveness.
April was full of accomplishments for some, but unfortunately, we had to remind ourselves that graduating was not a guarantee. Along the way, participants came in and out of the drug court program and our documentary. Corey was a participant we met back in August. What is something you'd like us to know about you?
When things are good, they're good, and when things are bad, they're really bad. Like I'm a chronic relapser, but I've never given up on myself.
Your Honor, Corey is reported as scheduled and instructed. He's testing as scheduled and instructed.
You're doing well, and so keep up the good work, keep moving forward.
Since last time we met, I've been struggling with marijuana.
Pretty soon, community service hours aren't going to do it anymore.
Showing up in December, Corey had gone on the run, and it wasn't until March until we saw him again.
I'd just like to apologize to everybody in the docket and the whole team for my actions. I took something small and ran with it and made it bigger than it needed to be. I decided that I didn't want to do drug court anymore back in November, so I actually decided I wasn't going to do probation either, and that got me into some trouble. But I did end up turning myself in February. I did almost a month in jail, and they let me back into the docket.
When a person takes off and then we eventually gather them back again, I have to decide if the person is truly wanting to participate in the drug court.
I want to complete this for me because I've been a quitter all my life, and I want to complete this to let myself know that I can do this.
I've came a long way in the last month again. I had some difficulties in some situations and some things like that, but I'm getting comfortable at my new job again. My routine is kind of back in order, and I'm just loving life. You take the drugs and alcohol away, and you leave me with me, I'm still me. It's making changes to better not only my life, but the lives that have been affected around me.
It's amazing, where they've come from. They've made some bad decisions, but with a little help and encouragement, where they're able to go to, I think is really a cool thing. And when they get back to the community, that's really rewarding.
One way we saw participants giving back to the community was through a trash pickup.
I remember when I was in active addiction, the cops getting behind me or me getting scared and throwing my needles out the window. I have so much guilt for that today because when I did the trash pickup, I found so many needles on the side of the road. I'm going to continue to pick those up because I don't want my children to, and I don't want anybody else's children to either. And I'm sorry for being that person. Because that's wrong. It is.
Chastity organized the trash pickup in order to clean up the night before the Drug Court Awareness Day. Drug Court Awareness Day allowed the community to come together and learn about the program and celebrate recovery.
So today we're here to celebrate Drug Court. But within the confines of drug court, we wouldn't be celebrating the success of drug court if we didn't celebrate the success of those in recovery today.
Amazing the resources that the community has put me through that now I can pass to other addicts, because in order to keep what I have to give it away. And that's what my goal is today, is to stay sober by helping the next addict. Thank you.
From the excitement of the drug court awareness event, we headed to Marion, where I had learned that Timmy had gotten arrested on a new charge and would not be able to complete drug court.
People exit for many reasons. The one we shoot for is successful graduation, successful termination from the docket. However, unfortunately, not all individuals make it through the docket.
You can't fix everybody, and that is a very hard part of this job, and that is a stress on the job for every judge who does this.
I think that you do drug court because as a judge, you want to make a positive contribution to your community. And drug court helps you with the people in your community so that they're not relapsing, so that you're avoiding the recidivism, so that you're building up positive citizens who are going to contribute and give back to the community.
June was a month of ups and downs. In Marion, Corey had gone on the run again. But in Medina, Nick was preparing to graduate.
Well, and I know that you're going to graduate next time that we see you, so it seems silly to ask you your goal, but I'm going to ask anyway. What will be your goal for next time?
Just continue to set up this plan, my recovery, my plan for afterwards.
The drive to Medina in July was bittersweet. Our time had come to an end, and we had grown close to the staff and participants. When arriving in Medina, we learned that Chastity transferred probation back to Morrow County in order to be closer to her children.
I felt like it was important that I kept structure and stability in their life.
Back in Medina, we saw Nick graduate.
Never imagined being where I'm at, mentally, physically, spiritually. You know, I'm just a totally different person than I was even just a year ago.
The great thing about every day is a new fresh start. So you just believe that people on their road in this life, on their journey in this life, you're going to fall down, you're going to make mistakes, and that's what we're here for, is to pick each other up and help each other out. And if I have a skill that you don't have, I'll help you learn it, and if you have one that I could benefit from, you'll teach me. The criminal justice system is about mercy and justice. And when you're trying to balance those two things out, well, that's maybe what drug court's all about, is finding the balance between mercy and justice.
My hope for them is we put them in a better place than what they were when they came in the program. My hope for them is they now have the tools to go out and survive on their own, and deal with their addiction and their demons for the rest of their lives.
It's amazing because it's saving a lot of lives. I know nationwide it's saving a lot of lives. It's giving people new chances, new lives, opportunities they never thought they could have or even felt they deserved.
If we can focus on recovery, addicts can be amazing contributors to the community.
If I could show the world who we are as everything that we are other than addicts, and that be the only thing that I ever do, I would be happy.
I'm a brother.
I am outgoing.
I am honest. I am someone's son.
I'm a mother. I am smart.
I'm a father.
Hardworking.
I'm a sister. I'm an addict that's grateful to be in recovery.
While our journey with drug court is over, every day across the country,
Well, welcome, Lori. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
drug court teams are asking participants,
Are you ready for a change?
I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this change.